Good day, everyone. Our case digest is fraud. The presenters of this case digest is Mary May Angeles, Nerissa Fogoso, and Viola Garduque. This case is between Divine Word College of San Jose and Eleuterio S. Lacaron versus Herminia G. Aurelio. The GR number is 163706, and this case has been approved March 29, 2007. And then the ponente is Kisumbing J. For the appellant or the petitioners versus respondents' prayers, the appellant, Divine Word College of San Jose, and Eleuterio S. Lacaron, is to reverse and set aside the Court of Appeals decision, afford a motion for reconsideration, and for our respondents, Herminia G. Aurelio, to uphold the Court of Appeals decision.
Here are the facts of the case. On March 26, 1976, respondent Herminia Aurelio was hired as accounting clerk by petitioner Divine Word College of San Jose Occidental, Mindoro. She was thereafter promoted to senior bookkeeper because she was not certified public accountant. Then in July 1989, DWC changed wage rules resulting to lowering of wages. And in 1991, she became the acting finance officer. On November 23, 1993, the employees and DWC forged a compromise agreement on the payment of the above-mentioned benefits and the yearly across-the-board increase in salaries. At the end of year 1991 to 1992, she was in the list for reshuffling of assignments. On January 7, 1996, respondent submitted a written explanation for her attitude and performance as bookkeeper. On November 24, 1996, the faculty asked for the transfer of Father Holst Gartner, but did not find it in his files nor in the files of the Finance Office. On March 26, 1997, Aurelio received a letter from Father Holst Gartner informing her that an evaluation of her performance and behavior would be conducted. On May 2 and 6, 1997, after an investigation, an ad hoc committee sent its letter to Father Holst Gartner recommending Aurelio's termination. On June 9, 1997, petitioners sent Aurelio a carefully worded termination letter that purposely omitted Aurelio's misdeeds to avoid jeopardizing her future employment. Then the termination would take effect on July 15, 1997. On July 17, 1997, Aurelio filed a complaint for illegal dismissal, non-payment of salaries, 13th month pay, as well as actual, moral, and exemplary damages against DWC and Father Lacaron. On October 19, 1998, a decision was rendered by the labor arbiter, the dispositive portion of which reads: December 21, 1998, Aurelio filed a motion to clarify the decision with respect to her length of service, upon which the monetary awards were based. Petitioners, for their part, appealed the decision. Aurelio opposed the appeal. On March 18, 1999, the NLRC issued an order requiring DWC to file an additional bond in the sum of 78,523.20, since the appeal bond covered only the award of 110,110 and 13 centavos back wages. On April 19, 1999, DWC submitted a demonstration requesting clarification that, as Aurelio stated in the motion, that due to errors in the calculation of its years of service, the financial award was erroneous. It was not appeal of the payments for separation based on an expression and motion. On May 17, 2000, the NLRC issued an order remanding the case to the labor arbiter to resolve Aurelio's motion to clarify and correct typographical error in the decision as regards the monetary award. On July 25, 2002, said motion was resolved by the labor arbiter. And on April 2, 2003, NLRC reversed and set aside labor arbiter's decision. And then motion for reconsideration denied. Aurelio filed a petition for certiorari granted, and DWC appealed.
Issues, decision, and rules of law. Issue number 1. Was there just cause in terminating the services of Aurelio? The Supreme Court agreed that she was legally dismissed. Aurelio contends that the petitioners did not have just cause as the basis for terminating her employment. She reiterated that the Court of Appeals finding that all the petitioners offered were bare allegations of the acts imputed against her and not a single concrete piece of evidence was presented. However, the petitioners claim that the termination was validly based on the ground of serious misconduct because respondents' disclosure of information was intentional and malicious, coupled with fraud. According to Article 282 of the Labor Code, an employer is allowed to terminate an employee for fraud or willful breach by the employee of the trust reposed in him or her by his employer or duly authorized representative. While the right of an employer to freely select or discharge his employee is subject to regulation by the state, basically in its exercise of its paramount police power, nonetheless, an employer cannot be compelled to continue employing an employee guilty of acts inimical to the interest of the employer and justifying its loss of confidence in him. The loss of trust and confidence is a valid ground for dismissing an employee, provided that the loss of confidence arises from particular proven facts. A perusal of the records and the evidence indicates that there was just cause in terminating the services of Aurelio. The dissemination of confidential information by the respondent and the pointless labor dispute following its misinterpretation have been sufficiently proven. Issue number 2. Should back wages be awarded instead of separation pay? The Supreme Court believed that since there was no illegal dismissal, back wages would be inappropriate. The Court of Appeals correctly brushed aside technicalities when it found that there was substantial compliance by the petitioners. Article 223 of the Labor Code is explicit in that, in case of a judgment involving a monetary award, an appeal by the employer may be perfected only upon the posting of a cash or surety bond in the amount equivalent to the monetary award in the judgment appealed from. The law does not make any distinction whether or not the appeal was total or limited only to a portion of the monetary award. The filing of a smaller amount of bond than the monetary award in the judgment is not justified. Issue number 3. Was Aurelio afforded due process? The Supreme Court believed that Aurelio was given due process. The petitioners claim that Aurelio was apprised of the actual basis for the loss of trust and confidence caused by dissemination of false information. Aurelio in turn states that petitioners failed to issue the necessary notices to her prior to her dismissal. There is procedural due process in termination of employment for just cause if the employer gives the employee two written notices and a hearing or opportunity to be heard if requested by the employee before terminating the employment. Specifically, there should be a notice specifying the grounds for which dismissal is sought, a hearing or an opportunity to be heard, and after hearing or opportunity to be heard, a notice of the decision to dismiss. The records show that procedural due process had been fully complied with, as Aurelio was apprised of the actual basis for the loss of trust and confidence. She was sent letters asking her to explain her side, to which she replied on January 7, 1996. A letter from the WC dated March 26, 1997 was also sent to Aurelio, informing her of her dissemination of sensitive information without prior clearance as a basis for loss of trust and confidence. An ad hoc committee was organized to conduct the investigation and make its recommendations. She was given an opportunity to comment and produce witnesses. 2 months after, another letter was sent informing Aurelio of DWC's decision to terminate her services effective 1 month after receipt of the letter. So therefore, she was afforded due process.
For our integration of faith and values in learning, it says in Proverbs 10:9, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. We have seen in this case that whatever mismanagement of money that was done, especially when you are in that position, in the long run, it will really be found out. There is always a consequence of whatever it is that is given to us, especially our accountability. And we know that if we have integrity in ourselves, then we have nothing to fear. And so we are reminded that we have to be faithful in the smallest things for us to be faithful in the big things as well. It also says in Child Guidance, page 152, paragraph 4, an honest man, according to Christ's measurement, is one who will manifest unbending integrity. Deceitful weights and false balances with which many seek to advance their interests in the world are abomination in the sight of God. Firm integrity shines forth as gold amid the dross and rubbish of the world. Deceit, falsehood, and unfaithfulness may not be glossed over and hidden from the eyes of men, but not from the eyes of God. The angels of God who watch the development of character and weigh moral worth record in the books of heaven these minor transactions which reveal character. So we can see here that an honest man is really a man that the Lord delights to have. So as his children, we know that integrity is very important and we have to preserve our integrity, knowing that in this world there are a lot of people who would fraud. There are a lot of people who will do the things that are not uh, like justifiable just for them to have more money, just for the acquisition of money. But we know that in the sight of the Lord, whatever it is that we have been faithful for, it will be rewarded. And if we are unfaithful, of course, it's really not a thing that a person should keep to himself or a person should practice, knowing that in the end it will really just destroy you and eventually not just to yourself, but even to the things that you have put up already. So once again, we are reminded that honesty is really needed. Integrity is really needed, especially in financial management. And we know that it's very important if we will just be honest, because when we are honest, then we have nothing to fear and we can be examples to others as well.